even though Ingrid and I have worked together for a really long time, I'm excited to learn something new from her today. Hey everybody, Mike Shreve here with NoPantsProject.com. I am so excited today because we have a really special treat. I'm here with Ingrid, who is a friend. Actually, she's not a friend. I consider her my sister from Texas. You're now officially my sister from Texas. Yes. She and I have been working together for a really long time. It's been really cool. We are going to talk about in today's interview her journey as a freelancer. She just told me before we got on that she's one client away from 6 figures a year, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, how she went from where she was to how she got here, a lot of the things that were important to her, like security and flexibility and all these sorts of things as a freelancer. And so that's what today's all about. This whole entire thing is all about that. If you don't have a piece of paper and pen, get one. I have one. I'm here doing the interview, and I have a piece of paper and pen ready to take notes from what Ingrid says, because one of the things that you'll learn as you become a freelancer is that it's key to get insights and wisdom and experience from other people who have already gone before you. So even though Ingrid and I have worked together for a really long time, I'm excited to learn something new from her today, okay? So we have a bunch of questions we're going to talk about, and Ingrid's been gracious with her time. She's a very successful freelancer, so she's pretty busy, and she has her life sort of structured very specifically, but she's given us the opportunity to learn from her. So we're going to go ahead and introduce Ingrid. Hello, Ingrid.
Hey, hi everyone. I hope everything's good there.
Thank you so much for doing this. We're going to have a really good time. So I want to tell you the story of Ingrid from my side, because this is all about me. No, it's actually about Ingrid. But so Ingrid and I met a few years ago, and when I first met Ingrid, she was a general virtual assistant.
Yes,
And
that's correct.
she was charging like $12, $13, $14, $15 an hour generally to other clients and to me. And since that time, Ingrid and I have worked together to help her discover what I call her freelancer superpower. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that in today's interview, but we looked at what Ingrid's strengths and interests and the market were for her situation, and we kind of put together some training, and we put together some strategies. And since that time, so since she started $12, $13, $14, $15 an hour as a general VA, competing in a really difficult market, because that particular market is a race to the bottom, right? So you get like who charges the least and who can do the most work. She's now one of the most sought after specialists in what she does. And like I said, she's only one client away from making 6 figures this next year, and we have to tease her husband a little bit because her husband's actually in medical school right now. So Ingrid is supporting her husband with freelancing, and it's funny because Ingrid beat him to making 6 figures a year and didn't have to go to medical school. So we like to tease him.
Never going back to school.
Yeah, so we get to tease him a little bit. But that's one of the cool things about freelancing. So let's go ahead and dive in and talk about Ingrid. For those listening, can you tell me a little bit about what it was like to jump into the freelancer market? So number one, why did you decide to become, at the time, a virtual assistant?
Okay, so I grew up in California all my life, and my family is from El Salvador. So I got the opportunity to move to El Salvador to finish school over there. Mm-hmm. And as I think it was on my second year of college, when I started pursuing, like a professional career, like looking for a job in El Salvador. Mm-hmm. And I found one, but it was paying $350 a month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't in a rush because I had the help of my dad. I wasn't actually living on my own, so I wasn't in a rush of like earning a lot of money. But I did have the experience that in California, I mean, I was a desktop. What was a receptionist, and I was getting paid like $10 an hour. So I mean, you do the math, and that kind of got me thinking. I was like, and then also, whoever you work for in El Salvador, they don't treat you with the value people treat you here. Like your job is worth nothing. Like you could be very good at what you do, but people will never value you in, I would say, like third world countries. So I was like, no, this is definitely not me. I had the American mentality. So I was like, okay, I said to myself, I'm just going to start sending emails to, random people on Craigslist, like jobs, and even if they weren't for like virtual positions, I was just sending them, like, hey, there's an idea, like I could work for you from here. But no one, I think it went on for like a year and no one ever responded.
Jeez.
And I had no idea of Elance. Now it's Upwork, or Fiverr, or any other websites, for freelancers. So by the time my third year came around, I met my husband. Well, he was then my boyfriend, but we were doing the long distance. He was here in Texas and I was in El Salvador, and I came to visit him, and he was living with host parents. And I found a book that one of the host parents had, and it said, woman working from home, something. I don't remember the title of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a sign. Like, I had to read this. And that was pretty much my summer. Like, I read through it, and then it actually gave me Elance. And that was the first one. Like, that was the only website that I kind of stuck around with. Like, I didn't go, making profiles everywhere else. So, and then I got my first job. I was in Houston, and I got my first job in the summer for $10 an hour as in like a data entry position, kind of like, it was really, it was kind of weird. Like, I wasn't doing much, but I mean, it was something, like it was more than $300 a month, like, so yeah, I kind of, grew up from like little by little. I started looking for clients. And
so two things. The first thing that I want to point out to everyone listening and watching is to the story of Ingrid, how she got into freelancing, is so common. It's this person who has dreams and hopes and desire. You were in college, so you're probably feeling pretty optimistic about the future, and you went to college for like design and like creativity, marketing, and marketing, and you had these like aspirations of, I'm gonna come up with really good ideas and be really creative, and then you went to the job market, to your local job market, which was at the time El Salvador, but for this is applicable to anybody. You went to your local job market, and it was like nothing. Like nothing that you would like actually want to go do. And so you started searching for work from home opportunities. And that's so common, you guys. If you're in that situation right now, like listen closely to Ingrid, because she has been through that. So my version is I was homeless and needed a job, and the job market wasn't there. Ingrid's was she was in a different country and the job market wasn't there. You're going to hear from a couple other people here in the next couple of days. It's the same story over and over and over again. So if you're listening to this right now, don't lose hope. Like you can actually, you don't have to be constrained by your local job market. You don't have to be constrained even by the skills that you possess right now. Because like, if you listen to Ingrid, she went and read a book, and then she started being a virtual assistant, right? Now, one of the things I wanted to actually ask you about that book is, do you feel like after you read that book, you went to Elance and you were like, I'm owning this, and like everyone was pitching you, or like, was there still like a big struggle after you read that book?
Oh, and pretty much the only thing that I got away from that book was elance.com. That's it. Other than that, I kind of had to struggle a little
Yeah.
bit to find myself and be a competitor to
Yeah.
other people too, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because you mentioned you spent all summer basically reading that book and studying, and the only
Yes.
thing you got out of it was elance.com. And I think
Yeah.
that's really common too, right? So a lot of people, they have in their mind, I know I want to work from home,
Mm-hmm.
and then Elance, which is now Odesk or Upwork, sorry,
Upwork, yeah.
Odesk and Elance became Upwork, and they go immediately to those bid sites. But if you've
Yes.
ever actually tried to succeed on the bid sites, your experience is going to be a lot more similar to Ingrid's than what even most of these books tell you, where you just walk in and like everyone's pitching you and they want to hire you. It's kind of
Yeah.
like a ghost town, really. And you get the weird admin jobs that nobody really wants to
Yeah.
do. And it's kind of soul crushing, like, so, to be honest, especially if you're like Ingrid and you're like, went to school for design and all
Oh,
these
yeah.
things. So,
It didn't really apply to me, you know, but I was just like, okay, I'll take whatever I can get,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Obviously, that transition
Mhm.
from never having been a freelancer before to going into freelancing. Can you talk a little bit about the emotional side of that transition? Like the struggles and maybe like if there was fear, because a lot of people listening are on that precipice right now, and they have
Mhm.
a lot of emotional things that are happening to them right now that might actually be holding them back. So I just want them to see what like a day in the life of you at that point.
So let's see, it might be, I don't know, it might apply to people or not, but I was living with my dad who was paying for college, you know, and I was kind of like my dad when he saw that I was pursuing a virtual assistant or, you
Mm.
know, a virtual job. He was kind of like, what is that? Like, I mean, he's really old school.
Yeah.
So you gotta get in their minds. And I was terrified of like disappointing him, I guess,
Hmm.
or, you know, I don't know. Cause I mean, we did make a big effort. He did.
Yeah.
And then I also went to school because in El Salvador, it's not 4 years, it's 5 years. So I was
Mm.
terrified of like, man, I'm going to be wasting, like all my friends were going to like finding jobs in the second year of their college career. And I was kind of like wasting a whole year looking for a virtual assistant position, you know, and
Hmm.
somewhere else. So I wasn't growing professionally because it's, I mean, you know, like data entry, it wasn't, I mean, it was just the same routine. So it wasn't what I really wanted to do. It didn't, like, I'm a graphic designer, I'm creative. So I'm like constantly thinking like, you know, concepts, like everything. I don't know. It's like, it was
Yeah.
definitely like, you know, I was stuck there. So
Yeah.
that was my biggest fear. And then also like, you know, hearing from people like it's not like you're kind of dreaming way too big. And I never knew successful stories, you know, like yours. Or now that I'm ahead, I would have loved to meet people that actually did this for a living
Hmm.
and, you know, figure out how they, you know, they are
Yeah.
so successful. And I think that was hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really lonely road sometimes.
It
Like at
is.
first, people don't understand like how much, even if it's negative energy, how much energy you get from being in an office with other people. And then you kind of seclude yourself. Like we celebrate no pants work from home, but there really is like some difficulty in that area. So let me just look at some of these questions here because this is going really well. Thank you. Let's actually talk about, so now in your journey, we're here where it's You're now making $10 an hour. And
Yeah.
now you're about to make six figures a year.
Correct.
What was the big breakthrough for you from a like mindset and like internal, like how you value yourself and the courage and the ideas? What was the big breakthrough for you to go from $10 an hour to six figures a year? Because you're still the same Ingrid, like you're still the same person. You didn't like overnight grow an extra arm and now you can do 30 different things. Like, what do you think it was that helped facilitate that change?
You, in other words.
Well, thank you. But
Yes.
you're the one who did all the work, though. You're the one who did the work. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, yeah. The thing is, how do I put it? Like, as hard as it is to find clients, there's always someone that's willing to invest in you and, see your potential. I mean, with you, you kind of, you saw, I'm guessing that you probably saw that I was a graphic designer and, I had some marketing background, and you kind of probably took advantage of that and was like, oh, I'm going to invest on her. And then once I remember the big long document you sent about paid traffic, and I was like, oh my God, like, what did I get myself into? like I had no idea of all those terms, like conversions, the only probably term I was familiar with, it was SEO, and that's it. Like, and I did, I'm very computer savvy, and I'm a fast learner. But once you introduced me to digital marketer, that's kind of been, I think I would call it my breakthrough, like, because that's my whole Facebook knowledge. Like, man, like without that, I don't see myself somewhere else. Like, to me, Facebook is, instead of being a social network for me and my friends, now it's something bigger than that. It's a different world, and I'm so glad I was able to get that in my skills, because I think it's helped a lot. Like, not that many people know or have knowledge of how to use it properly, and that's when I come in.
Yeah. Yes, you have saved the day many times. So I want everyone listening, I want you to notice a couple things. So first off, I haven't told you this yet, but Ingrid's superpower, it turns out, wasn't graphic design. It wasn't virtual assisting. It wasn't, it was marketing, but we discovered together that her superpower, her freelancer superpower, was actually becoming the master. She really is the queen of paid traffic. So if you've ever seen those ads on Facebook or something, Ingrid's the one who runs those and does them all and makes her clients tons and tons of money. And she found that freelancer superpower, which the second thing I want you to notice is, did you see her describe her virtual assistant position when she was doing data entry? And then did you see her describe paid traffic? She was like two different people, right? She was excited about paid traffic. You could tell there was passion there. There was interest. And that's one of the things I want you to think about if you're watching this right now. Be open about what you as a creative person could do for the market to give yourself the freedom, the flexibility, and the financial foothold as a freelancer. The problem with most people who go into freelancing is they go in saying, this is me, this is what I want to do, and they totally ignore the market in its entirety. With Ingrid, we took her skill set, excuse me, and her interests. She likes graphic design, so we knew we had to do something in which graphic design was involved. And trust me, when she does her ads are like, one of the reasons she's so good is because of her graphic design background. Her ads stick out like crazy on the newsfeed. Anyways, we knew we had to incorporate that, but we knew there was also other aspects, right? She was also interested in marketing. She was also interested in actually adding value to people's lives. So don't go into freelancing with this, like, I do this one tiny thing. And if I don't do this one tiny thing, then I'm, I'd rather bid the lowest job and do this. Don't do that. That way lies misery. I can promise you. And you're going to see that over the course of the next couple of days when we talk to these other freelancers. This idea of being open to finding your freelancing superpower actually frees you. It gives you everything you want from freelancing if you're just willing to be open about that one thing. Talk to me a little bit about a day in your life right now, because I think a lot of people want to know, what is it really like to be a full-time freelancer?
Well, I wake up and pretty much every day have my PJs on. So, I mean, I do take a shower, but my life it consists of my husband, my dog that I adore, and now my baby to come. So, it's pretty centralized on that. And a lot of people tell me, man, why I wouldn't do freelancing is because you don't interact with other people. And but I also have other friends that I have the flexibility to be like, hey, let's go for a coffee, like, which I love. And I just hop in the car and, go to a coffee date with them or anything like that. But, throughout the day, like, I wake up, I read once in an article that you're not supposed to look at your email right away, but I always do it. And if I haven't seen, an important message from one of my clients, I, immediately just hop into Business Manager to see how the campaigns are rolling. And, like the maintaining what I have going, like, that's already, what's that word? That's
optimizing and like maintenance and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And then I like, if they sometimes it's very, like, days are really easy for me. Randomly a client is going to be like, I need this image now. And I do it, because I have the freedom, like, to be available for them immediately. And I never, like, that I've never turned any tasks down. Like, anything that comes my way, I do it, even if I have to stay longer. But in reality, I don't. Like, it's hard to say this to your client, but my life is it's really easy. I love the flexibility. And now with the baby to come, like, I don't want to stop working, but I also don't want a job that's going to consume me. Yeah. And I think that's where I'm at. Like, I'm very free, I guess. Yeah. We don't travel much, and when we do is just to go see family, and I can work wherever I'm at. So, which is the plus side, like, I can be anywhere in the world. And
well, I remember you recently just took a trip to El Salvador.
Yes.
Like, for holidays, and you're still turning stuff out.
Oh, yes. It was Christmas time, and I was, like, if you want to become a really good freelancer, you have to be available for your clients, but you also, and then in return, you get the flexibility that I'm talking about, it's, I think, it's,
and I think there's something really interesting that you said, and I want people to understand, and if you go to the nopantsproject.com, I actually, there's a free workshop where you can, where we talk a lot about this idea, but Ingrid's availability. So as she said, she's more than happy to turn around a really, really quick project very, very quickly. That is actually, even if she may not understand it fully herself, that is a strategic decision that she made because it gives her what she wants, which more than any freelancer I've ever really met is security.
Yes.
Like Ingrid's income is predictable as a freelancer because she has decided to be that available to clients. Therefore, she is able to charge monthly retainers.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so because she's able to charge these monthly retainers, again, it's a strategic decision. Not all of the freelancers that you hear from over the next couple of days have made that same decision. They also don't have retainers, right? So their income is a little bit flexible. Ingrid has chosen her schedule to be a little bit flexible, but her income to be steady. I mean, it's been stable for a while.
Oh, it has.
It's been like a paycheck, right? Like every month.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like totally predictable.
And it was not like that before. I remember that was one of my biggest issues. Like, I need stability. Like, I even went looking for jobs here in El Paso because I wanted to be stable. Like, I didn't want this fluctuation like going on in our lives. You know, we can't afford that.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that a lot of people, when they are thinking about becoming a full-time freelancer, they hear other freelancing horror stories from people who are just venting or ranting or complaining about this income dip and like this roller coaster of income. And the reality is that those freelancers who are complaining about that have decided to make certain strategic decisions wherein the consequence is this income variation. I'm with Ingrid. So if you don't know my story, I was homeless and actually got out of homelessness because of freelancing. I, like Ingrid, chose security. So my income has been a steady, literally like just a steady line upward. I've never gone down. It's just constantly been going up consistently. You could make future purchases based off the money you know is going to come in like 2 or 3 months. Like that's how consistent my setup is. And I, like Ingrid, have made the choice of being pretty available for my clients. But as Ingrid said, no client is like constantly texting you last minute stuff. Out of 5 days, you might have 2 where you need to like be there for the thing that's happening.
Yes.
But the other 3 days, it's like, go have coffee with your friends, go hang out, like, and let's be like really honest here. Like, binge watching Netflix while working on a Facebook campaign with your dog on your lap is technically work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it's still like, even your bad days as a freelancer is like unbelievably better than
yes,
in an office where you're a drone. And
yeah,
one of the things that we talk about in the nopantsproject.com workshop, which is coming up this Tuesday at 11 a.m., is this idea of there's reasons why big companies like purposely restrict and restrain and control and pay you less. When you're a freelancer, you get to like unburden yourself of all that.
yes,
it's pretty awesome.
It is. I love it. My husband loves it. So,
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and close this because you've been very gracious with your time, and this has been really, really incredible. And then I'm going to ask you a few more questions, maybe like 2 or 3.
Okay.
The first one is, in working with me, because this is all about me, remember? When you worked with me, what was the big thing that you took away with, that you were like, you know what, this is the thing that Mike taught me about being a freelancer?
About being a freelancer?
Yeah, and your career as a freelancer. And
I would say to be confident in myself, right? Yeah, because I struggle like all my life. I'm a very shy person, and I think you're always telling, like, I'm always telling you like, oh, I don't know if this campaign is going to do good, like, and you're like, no, it's going to, and it does really good, and I think that's one of the biggest things. Like this video that we're doing now, I would have never agreed to it, and now I'm here. Like imagine 5 years ago, I would have never thought about doing a video. Even when you apply to jobs and you have to actually take an interview. I mean, that happens in real life everywhere. And I was like, oh, I hope they don't put the camera on. I hope they don't put the camera. Those sort of things. Now I'm comfortable because, I'm definitely confident about what I do, that I can actually talk about it and be passionate about it, that I pitch to my clients and they take me in. So, they see that I know what I'm talking about. And I think that's what I got away from you, like confidence.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Again, anyone who's watching this right now, if you are feeling like nervous, trepidation about being a freelancer, about overcoming the fear of really like going out and selling yourself, which if you sign up for the nopantsproject.com workshop, I'm going to teach you how to do this without having to sell yourself, but that's totally something different. But this idea of like going out into the world and being on your own and doing this whole thing, that is something that can be overcome when you address it, when you come up with strategies, and when you decide to put in the effort to make the change. Like Ingrid is not joking when she says she has struggled with confidence. I remember when you and I first met, and that document you mentioned, right? Like the whole, where I was like, let's do paid traffic. I remember that conversation. It's so funny that you brought it up because you were like, I thought I'd like offended you or like broken you or something. Cause you're like, I don't know. But now, like not that much longer later, Ingrid is, honest to goodness, Ingrid's probably in the top 1% of paid traffic specialists.
I hope so. Yeah, see, I hope so.
We're still working on the comments. But like she literally is probably in the top 1%. And that's why she's able to command top 1% fees, right? Confidence was the missing piece.
Yes.
As much as skill, as much as ability to sell, as much as all these other things. So if you're a freelancer thinking about this, just keep that in mind. So here's my question for you, for the audience. What is your one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is, again, on that precipice, thinking about going full-time freelancing?
I say just quit your job. Literally quit your job and pursue it. If you're passionate about something, in a lot of cases like me, I didn't really know what I was passionate about, and I found my niche. But if you have something, if you're passionate about something that that people are looking for, you have something already, and in other cases, like people like me, or I don't know if you went through the same situation, but I know it's hard. Life is not easy, and I know it's hard to just say, "Oh, I'm gonna quit my job," but give yourself a chance. Maybe not quit your job, but start it off as a side hobby. I don't know, something that you can do at night when you get home and watch TV. You could, start applying, and little by little, you're gonna get out of that fear, or of not finding a job. Like you'll eventually find a client. You'll find a good client. I've been scammed. You will probably be scammed. But don't let those little downs bring you down. Like, just I don't know, just you'll, like, I promise, like, I really, really do promise, you'll find something that's worth it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Really, really good advice. If any of you are thinking about it, Ingrid's advice is to start.
Yes.
Just start. Do something. Find something. Be something. Sell something. Figure out something, and just start. Go. Make decisions. Try something.
Oh, yes.
That really is the key.
Yes.
It can be a long journey, so you might as well get started now. If you'd like to make that journey faster, we actually have a training, and actually Ingrid's in part of that training. She's been generous in helping me put together that training. If you go to the nopantsproject.com, I'm actually going to show you a 12-week program that, if you're like a speed demon, you can actually compress that into, even less than 12 weeks. It's 90 days, 3 months. It's a program step by step, Monday through Sunday. There's tasks, do this, do this, do this, do this. nopantsproject.com. You can actually get that calendar, that 12-week thing, for free if you sign up for a workshop, which is also free, and you have to show up for the workshop. That's where we're going to give you the link to download it and all that kind of stuff. That's at nopantsproject.com this Tuesday at 11 a.m. Sign up for that training. We're going to actually help you. Just go. Just get started. We're going to give you the 3 secrets on secret number 1 is how to start basically charging more by finding your freelancing superpower. Ingrid quadrupled her income by finding her superpower, right? So that's an incredibly powerful secret. I'm going to show you what we did with Ingrid, how you can do it, all that kind of good stuff. Number 2 is we're actually going to show you how to automate your client getting process, which is really, really cool, super fun and exciting. If you don't like sales, if you don't want to get on the phone like Ingrid was talking about, doing those job interviews, if you just want people to come to you and be like, yes, I know your service, I'd like to purchase it, we're going to show you how to do that. And then the last thing, which is something that Ingrid and I still have to work on her stuff, that's a project we need to start working on in the future. So something I've done for other people is how to develop passive income as a freelancer so that you're not trading time for dollars. One of the ways is actually to get retainers. So if Ingrid ever wanted to take time off, her retainer has built-in passive income. She just has to ask for time off. She still gets a retainer every month. But we're actually going to talk about even better, bigger strategies, techniques that no one in the freelancer space is teaching right now, because everyone thinks that freelancing is trading time for dollars, and that's not the case at all. It's all about bringing value to your client and how you package that value and all that kind of good stuff. We're going to talk about those 3 things and a whole bunch more on the nopantsproject.com workshop that we're holding this Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. Ingrid, thank you so very much. I do appreciate your time. It is so good to talk to you.
Same, always.
Yes. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate the time. If you have any questions for me or Ingrid or anyone involved with the nopantsproject.com, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at help@thenopantsproject.com. We love you. Thank you so much for watching this interview. We hope that it was helpful, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.